Good afternoon. I'm Rabbi Eddie Sukal from the Shul, and we gather today to remember Brian, to recall his life, and to comfort his family and those who survive him. We begin with a passage from Psalms that acknowledges the kinds of questions that we ask in the face of death. O God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? It seems that we are little more than a breath, our days like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass. In the morning it shoots up renewed, and yet in the evening it fades and withers. You cause us to return to dust, saying, "Return, O you mortal creatures." If only we were wise and understood where we are going. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall know true peace. Paul and Rick and families, death has taken your beloved brother. And we who have mourned understand that you grieve in a darkened world today. We know that in your silence there is sadness, and in your tears, loneliness. Today is a day of sorrow and sadness, and the days ahead are days of grief and mourning. But even in the depths of our mourning, we reach deep into our souls to find the strength to offer thanks and to be grateful for the gift of Brian's life. He shared his life with us. He shared his love and companionship. Our memories will now comfort us. And we are thankful for the gifts of his heart and his mind, and those things that he did and said that brought joy and happiness into our lives. We offer our thanks. And we who are here with you, gather with you today, not only to remember Brian, but also to comfort you, to reach out and to embrace you, and to envelop you with our love and our care and our comfort. In Brian's memory, I'd like to read the 23rd Psalm, first in the Hebrew and then in the English. This is a traditional psalm that is read in times of mourning and grief. Adonai ro'i lo echsar binot desha yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenahaleni nafshi yeshovev. Yancheni v'ma'agalei tzedek lema'an shemo gam ki elech begeitz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shiftecha umishantecha hema yanachamuni ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorerai tishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya ach tov v'chesed yerdefuni kol yemei chayai v'shafti b'veit Adonai lo orech yamim. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. O God, you lead me in right paths for your name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. To share some remembrances, I'd like to call upon Paul and Rick at this time.
Didn't want to feel I was being pushed off, kind of hurry up, yeah. Yeah. This is my time. Actually, it's my brother Brian's time, and I'm sorry. I thank you. I thank you for all coming here today, and this beautiful turnout for Brian, who was kind of a very solitary person. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. And thank you for all the friendship and support that you gave him. It was very important to him and important to Rick and the family and us. And for those of you that Rick and I talk to now or by the phone, your remarks were very comforting. You heard the same recurrent theme. He was such a good person. He was the nicest person. He was kind. He was sweet. I kind of nod my head. I always enjoyed talking with him. It was always pleasant. He made me laugh, and I'm thinking, wasn't quite, but okay. And then his good friend Rob told me a story of Brian being out till 3 in the morning doing karaoke, and I'm thinking, do I have the wrong number here, Karaoke, my brother Brian. We had a genetic mistake in the family about music and singing and dancing, but he had some fun times, and seriously, he was a very kind soul, a good person. We have many fond memories of childhood, Rick and I and the cousins playing together. We played baseball in the street, as many of you did, and cowboys and Indians in the basement, hide and seek. His favorite spot was the pantry in the basement. Actually, that was where the liquor was stored too. No, he wasn't a drinker. We played war, but he was a gentle soul, and but we all played war, and we loved playing the toys with him. But I'm still envious. He got the atomic cannon, and I always wanted that atomic cannon, but I just got a dart gun. But yeah, that was his favorite toy as a child. And as an adult, we traveled to China together, and which was a challenge. If you knew my brother's eating habits, Chinese was not his forte. He brought his own bags of nuts, but it was a good trip with him, and it was good. He had a strong intellect, a very smart person, very analytical, loved researching and understanding everything fully. Negative consequence of that, of course, is that a little bit with his OCD, making a decision, for those of you who had to work with him on decisions, was slow, really slow. Sometimes it was troubling. Like he had a roof leak, it's like, you got to get the roof. It was, kind of years. Sometimes it was frustrating. I'd hear the discussion over and over about the color of the siding or the tile, which the tile's still not done, but other times amusing. Well, the comforter's torn. How about if we get a new comforter? Well, I don't know. It's but the only person who could truly master him was Noreen there, who was his support and friend for the last year, and she was the only person who could nudge him along into a decision without a big fight and a smile. So we're a special call out to Noreen, who was a special support person this last year and really made his life so much better. So thank you, and with a smile too, and it was always fun. Brian had a difficult life at many times, especially the last few years. As you know, he was had a pulmonary disease, and so was on oxygen for the last few years, and was very private about it. He didn't complain much. He kind of kept it private. to himself, although Rick and I shared with him and consoled him often. He struggled with many things, his OCD and at times his career, but he was very prideful. He was an exceptional dentist, and one of his friends and patients just came up today talking about how exceptional his dentistry was, and I think maybe the OCD was a little bit of an aid there. Yeah, if you want a good dentist, pick one with OCD, you know, there. And so he was a very good dentist. He prided himself on his skills. He prided himself as being self-reliant and independent, maybe to a fault, but that was the way he lived, and he really felt he didn't want to impose on others and be self-reliant. He had a loving side, which was sometimes hard to see, but you'll certainly saw it through his dog, and I know there'll be some comments on that. He had a creative side, which many of you may not have known. Exceptional photography. He unbelievable pictures in his home, and he was a very good writer. He did a little bit in advertising, and his letters and speeches that he wrote when he was younger, and even a little bit of jewelry, you know, since the coming out of dentistry, being able to work with fine skills and gold, and I don't know if he scavenged some gold from some people's teeth over the years, but no, that wasn't Brian. He was highly ethical. He had a technical side too. He loved computers. He built his own twice out of components. He had at least 3 and maybe 4 computers ongoing in his house, and some of them open up and parts exposed, and if anybody knows his password, we could use that. But he was a very special person, and I thank you all for the kind remarks and remembrances you have given. I'm glad he was my brother. He'll be missed. It was weird. Just, I don't know, 3 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago when you asked us to come up there, I almost felt Brian's passing. When he called up Paul and me to come up, my first view was, well, where's Brian? I turned around, and all of a sudden I figured out he's not physically here with us, but it was awkward. And also, as Paul was talking, we're all brothers, we're all raised same family, had the same inputs, but as you'll probably see in how we talk and what we say, we're totally different. And Brian was very unique, Paul's very unique, and I'm sure my wife will tell you I'm very unique also, but each in our own way. But when I think about Brian, I reflect a little. Bear with me, I'll tell you a short story, a couple things, and I won't be as long as Paul, but as Amy, my wife, will attest to, we're dog people. We love dogs. We have 2 labs, and we always say, if our labs doesn't like this person, it's most not likely a person we wouldn't want to spend time with. Somehow, magically, dogs, and some people may say pets. I'm not a cat person or a bird person, but dogs somehow have an innate ability to judge the true character of a person, greater than, Professor Hawking could write an algorithm to judge the true value of an individual in the largest supercomputer, Watson computer in the world. Dogs have the ability to look at a person and look at that and tell the value of that individual. If you think about it,
They don't care what color his skin is. They don't care his religion. They don't care how much money the person has. They don't care what home he lives in, his occupation. They don't care about anything. What they care about is the inner person, who that person really is. Are they a good person or a bad person? My brother grew up without a dog. I drove my parents crazy as a kid till I forced them on my 13th birthday. I think I may have threatened not to get bar mitzvah if they didn't get me a dog. So fortunately, they got me a dog when I was 13, Tippy. And when I went away to college, Brian was graduating from dental school, and he adopted my dog. And believe it or not, or no belief, Tippy became his dog. And he loved Tippy, cared for Tippy. Tippy loved Brian. And then when Tippy passed, Brian decided to get birds. I have no idea why. There's a story there, an irony there I won't go into, but he had birds and they flew around his house, believe it or not. And then when his birds passed, he decided to get a dog, which was and is the most important thing in his life. Reese, who's a lovely little dog, and by the way, if there's anyone here that would like to adopt this dog, we'll gladly make arrangements. But what I can tell you is this, is if the dogs could talk, if I could ask Tippy what he thought of Brian, or if I could ask Reese, what did you think of Brian? Although if you knew Reese's bark, you can just imagine his voice as a human, it would be unique. But there's not a doubt in my mind they would say Brian, from their point of view, which is based on just pure values, is the greatest person in the world. And Brian was, to Tippy and to me and to Paul and to those that loved him, the greatest person on earth. He cared for his dog. He loved his dog. He put his dog's well-being in front of anything else. He made sacrifices. If I told Brian, I go, Brian, I'm going to send you on a trip. I'm going to fly you first class to Paris. You can have French champagne. You can eat at the finest restaurant, have foie gras, although I don't know if it's kosher, but they could probably make chopped liver out of it. Brian, if he had a choice, go to Paris or stay in his house with his dog, there's not a doubt in my mind, would stay with his dog because he was very loyal to that dog. And as I think about it, and the reason I bring it up is it really defines, because we have a tendency as individuals to superficially look at people, but if you look at the inner being of who Brian was, he was a very loving, a very caring, a very loyal, a person that would put others' time and well-being ahead of him. And so I think his love for animals and is defined who he is as an individual, and all I can say is I'm very blessed. I'm very proud that Brian was my brother. He will be very missed, but on the other hand, I thought of him every morning when I woke up, and hopefully I will continue to do so for the rest of my life. I'm overwhelmed at the number of people that are here today. I know Brian would say, no one is going to come or want to come. So this means a lot to me and to Paul and to our families, and most importantly to Brian. And I'm just pleased and blessed that he was my brother and had the time on this earth and the time of life to be with him. So thank you.
Paul and Rick, thank you. Tradition teaches that words that come from the heart enter directly into the heart. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat to defeat, until, looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage. For birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage. One of the great rabbis of the middle 20th century, who himself died much too young, Rabbi Joshua Loth Liebman, offered this reflection in a book he authored entitled Peace of Mind. When we die, those who have been touched and illumined by the flame of our being should rejoice to think of us with joyous remembrance. It is natural and it is easy to remember Brian during the years that he struggled with illness, and to remember the nature of his life, that he was a loner. But in remembering him in the fullness of his life, let us remember him with joy, with that joyous remembrance that Rabbi Liebman speaks about. And let the memories of that which was most difficult, let those memories recede into the backgrounds of our minds. And let us instead keep in the forefront the goodness of his life and the beauty of his life and the way that he lived it on his own terms. I will just add a little bit to what Paul and Rick have said. Brian was not only a dentist, but he was very proud of that accomplishment in his life, and deservedly so. He was proud to be part of the medical profession, and he had access to a certain type of knowledge that he was proud of, and that he worked hard to learn and to master. Much has been said about his love of dogs, animals in general and dogs in particular. And you're right when you speak about dogs being able to get the emotional sense of a person. And they would say exactly what all of your friends and Brian's friends have said. How kind he was, what a good soul he was, that he was super nice. I know there was confusion sometimes as to who was the master and who was the dog, because they could kind of rule him. But that's really indicative of the kind of relationship he had with Reese and with the dog before, Tippy. Noreen, I know you have been acknowledged already today, but your cousins asked me especially to make mention of the, not just the care that you provided, but the loving care, the way you did it, and the relationship that you developed with Brian. It is certainly true that he didn't let a whole lot of people into his life, but he let you in. And that says a great deal about you. And please know how grateful your cousins are for your help and assistance. When we die, we take nothing with us from this world. Tradition says that our material goods don't accompany us. In death, all are equal. There is no rich and poor in death. We are all the same. It's not our material goods, few or many, that survive us in a meaningful way. What the rabbis teach is that what lives on is the way we are remembered by those that we loved in life and in the years granted us. And what lives on is the memories that people have of us, of the goodness that we did in the world, of the difference that we made, in big and in small ways. Brian will always be remembered by you, his family, and friends, by you who loved him. May it be that his memory will be a source of many blessings to you in the days and weeks and years to come. John Gunther, in his book, Death Be Not Proud, wrote, "The influence, the impact of a person continues to exert itself long after mortal bonds have been broken. Not only that he lives in our hearts or in anything he touched truly, but that a person transmits permanently something of what he was to all of us. The fabric of the universe is continuous and eternal." Death will come. Its hand will not be stayed even for an instant, and nor can we enter into judgment with it. Our question why will go unanswered. But this does not mean that we are helpless in the face of death. We can and do rob death of ultimate victory by living life as long as it is ours to live. To ask of death that it never come is futile, but it is not futility to pray that when death does come for us, it may take us from a world, one corner of which is a little better because we were there. When we are dead and people grieve for us, let it be because we touched their lives with beauty and simplicity. Let it not be said that life was good to us, but rather that we were good to life. Amen. O God of life, amid the ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generations, we know that your love remains to comfort us and to give us hope. Around us we see life and death, decay and renewal, a flowing rhythm that all things must obey. Our life is a dance to a song we cannot hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, and then seems to cease. Whence the melody, and whither does it go? In darkness as in light we turn to you, O God, the source of life and the answer to all its mysteries. Please rise. El Malay Rachamim Shochein Bamromim Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Im Kedoshim Utehorim Kizohar Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Beryl ben Raphael shehalach le'olamo, began Eden tehei menuchato, ana bal harachamim, hastirehu beseter kanafecha le'olamim, vayitzror bitzror hachayim et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Beryl Ben Raphael, to Brian Howard Freedman, for he has now entered eternity. O God of mercy, we pray, may he find refuge in your eternal presence, and may his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance, and let us all say, Amen. Al mikomo yavo b'shalom. May Brian come to his eternal home in peace. While we are standing, I would like everyone to join with Paul and Rick and Judy and Amy and the family in the recitation of Mourner's Kaddish. The Kaddish, as you know, is a memorial prayer, but at its core, it is an affirmation of our faith and our trust in God, and we recite it in memory of a loved one at the time of death, to say that even in grief, we affirm God's presence in the world and our trust and hope in the future. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechal beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach leolam olamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Please be seated. Brian's family has asked me to announce that those who wish to be with them immediately after services for the traditional mourners meal, they will be meeting at Brio in Legacy Village. For those who may not be Clevelanders are familiar, that is at the corner of Cedar and Richmond, and it's a huge shopping center. You can't miss it. Brio at Legacy Village. In addition, those who may wish to honor Brian's memory with a charitable contribution, the family suggests that you direct your generosity to the Animal Protective League. Paul and Rick and family, we conclude our service with these traditional words of consolation. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch shar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God grant you comfort, and may you who mourn be comforted, along with all the mourners in Zion and Jerusalem and in our community. Amen.